intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome back to the channel, Star Trek Fleet Command fans. Today, finally going to go over the event store. I waited about a week and a half into this, maybe a little bit more, because I wanted to see what they're going to add. And while they've not added much to this yet, I have had a couple of things that I wanted added shut down. Now, hopefully, Scopely makes me look like an idiot by saying, hey, we're not going to do that, and they do it anyway. But for example, I really pushed for the Voyager to get added, and apparently that's not going to happen, nor a couple of other officers I really wanted like Q. But that doesn't mean that all things aren't being considered. In fact, as of this morning, they were still discussing things like the Fuchsia Glass skin and Section 31 skin and things like that that y'all have been asking for. Rare ACC cores that I pushed really hard for. So we'll see what ends up getting added. But until then, I'm going to cover in this video all the things that I think have value for both free-to-play and spenders, what you should go after. And, well, we're going to do all that right after a word from our sponsors, Amazon Coins. Make sure you click the link in my description and the top comment so you can support the channel. And yeah, go check out Amazon Coins.
But first, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, this video is sponsored by Amazon Coins in the Amazon App Store. And if you play Star Trek Fleet Command, which I know you do because you're here, well then you're always looking to find a way to save. Like maybe you actually want to upgrade these buildings right here, or you just want to maybe get a new dock or unlock that Voyager. Well, to do so, let's go to Amazon and save some money. All you got to do is have an Android device or Huawei, or download the Amazon web store, and then you can use the Amazon Coins to save. And it's not hard at all to do. All you gotta do is use the link in the description of my video down below so you can get you your own Amazon Coins, purchase the coins through the App Store or through Amazon itself, and then save on the games that you're already playing. That's simple to enjoy this game that we love so much. That's it. And it's available in so many countries, including the United States. So get your savings on, enjoy Amazon Coins today. All right, so let's jump right into them. So first off, let's just hit a quit on these limited deals. Now, limited time last week was B'Elanna Torres. These are generally good deals if you like the officers. Now, I am notorious for being a fan of the strategy of waiting until the end of the event store to see how much loot I have and then determine what I'm going after. So for example, as of me recording this at this very second, I'm at 291,200 of the loot and having not spent any of it. However, I will say that these have the best value when it comes to officer shards at limited time, because of being 1,000 per shard. Now you are limited to 3, so maybe you want to just spend 6,000 here, but you also got to be careful because you have other offers coming through as well. So this one will actually be spending 22,500 if you want to go after the Syndicate XP. They are good value, but just be warned, you might need a lot at the end. So let's continue through. There are some throwback cosmetics. I'm going to ignore those. If you like throwback cosmetics, they're self-explanatory. Also going to ignore resources and materials. If this is your first time doing it, resources and materials is usually the worst value bucket in the entire run. Don't typically recommend you do that. You don't get much for it. Special currencies, there are not a lot of things unique in here. Again, this is for a specific research. Most of you have already done it, so ignore. But we've also got trade XP, which does have some value. Everything else is mostly kind of meh. And even the independent credits, for the amount that you're getting in the cost, it's really not worth even getting independent credits in the event store unless you just happen to have 18,800 left over. Maybe get it then. So not a lot of value there. In this one, you're really not going to find much you actually end up needing. So there's 3 buckets we can just mostly ignore. If you do like more current frames and avatars, like from the past couple months, again, these things are priced very high and they will eat up a lot of currency. You see 100 and let me look, 150,000. It's insanely expensive. I have no idea why it's that pricey. It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, if you want to go through that route. So for me, that's immediate first 4 buckets, ignore. Now let's get to the part that is not ignore, ship blueprints. One thing they did add into the event store is 5-star ships into here. So if you're a player in that range, you can now use that to speed up that process. Now, as you can see, price on those is up, but at the same time, 5-star BPs being a premium item, pretty nice to see them get added to the event store. Now, for the average player who's watching this video, you want to focus on specialty ships. You're level 25, new to the game, on server 97, listen up. From the GSC leader, Fadar, Meridian, get them here if you haven't already. But But also, if you haven't unlocked your Franklin yet for some reason, grab it here. Don't have an amalgam? The amalgam takes 13 weeks to unlock free to play from Cosmic Cleanup. Speed up your progression. Need a second Stella? This is the only place to get it without spending money. Want to speed up your Fisha acquisition, Mantis? All these things are available. I would say focus on specialty ships. Even if you scroll on down, you'll find things like, the Defiant, which is actually quite cheap, $1,500 per blueprint. Why am I focusing on specialty ships so much, you might ask? Because in terms of cost, far better value. Take a look at just the Mayflower, $5,500 for 5. I'm not saying it's terrible value, but for a ship that really only is used to scrap at level 34, should you be blowing this when you could get a Defiant, which will last you into the 50s? Obviously, specialty ships are the name of the game for most levels in the game now. If you're in the 20s, 30s, and even 40s, specialty ships are their focuses. You've got to do them. So this will help you speed up those acquisitions, and I'm telling you, you won't regret it. Also, don't forget, you want to unlock this disco. Think you should ignore it level 20, and somebody told you that, they are wrong. So specialty ships are really big. That's a bucket that has a lot of value. Now, ship parts, I know a lot of people are asking about getting second, Talios parts and stuff. Don't see them adding them, but in terms of ship parts, if you had a second Fisha, this is the only place to get the second Fisha warp interlock if you wanted to do that. But for the most part, this is also an ignore. All right, ship refits. Now, there's a couple things in here I actually would encourage you to look at. For example, the Gold Cardassian Disruptor. This is a nice little increase to critical damage, 25%, and this works for everything. Remember, once you unlock a refit, it's permanent. You don't even have to apply it, but it is a nice little bonus here, and that's something that everybody can get relatively cheap. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, but it will run you over 200,000 of your event store currency if you're starting from scratch. For those of you who are like me and had an opportunity to earn most of it a few months ago, this lets you finish it up. Now, you have a couple of other things in here as well that you want to take a look at. Cloaks are something to focus in on, especially if you're talking as a level 46 and above player, because level 46 and above players do not have their cloaks in the faction store. Even though Scopely promised well over a year ago that they would add them into the event store, they still haven't done it. The only way to currently get Coronar, Pylum, etc. cloaks is through the event store or through spending money. Since most of y'all probably don't want to do that, right there. So options to add to your list. I will admit that I'm a little bit of I shouldn't do it, but I really want to do it. The Kelvin refits and the specialty skins. But anyway, that's just personal choices. But the main things that you really want to look at, Gold Cardassian Disruptor is good for just your general usage in ships. Everybody's using critical builds for everything. You're finally getting on board the Rev train. I've been pushing criticals since 2018. I'm glad that we all focus on them now. But in terms of value, there are some good skins in there, but the only one that's universally valuable is the Cardassian Disruptor. Officers is a good one. I actually love the officer selection here, and obviously the prices aren't too bad. I'll actually throw up John Connor's little box he made so you can see how he's tracking officers and acquisitions and what his costs are going to be for he wants to do his upgrades. Here's what I personally recommend. This is going to be really tricky because all the rares are pretty valuable, and I love the epics. So we've got Dr. Catherine Janeway Chakotay. Do you unlock any of the epics? Remember that epics in the event store are extremely expensive to the point where we're talking about 6,000 currency per shard. I would only spend event store currency into any of the epics if you are close to the next tier, like how I am with Chakotay. I'm right at tier 2. Yeah, why not spend 24,000 event store currency and get him to tier 2? That makes sense. What doesn't make sense if you were, say, Catherine Janeway here and you want to do 114. It's just not economically feasible. It just doesn't make a lot of math sense to go and dump that when you could, say, get more value from B'Elanna Torres and Tom Paris. Now, real quick, let me back out and say this. I believe that your goal should be to unlock all these rares, at least at tier 1. Why? Because the officer acquisition sourcing for Voyager is behind rare formation armadas, and it is slow as molasses, both the acquisition of the directives and the acquisition of the officers. They made it one of the slowest acquisitions in the game, and we hate it. So, with that in mind, if you don't have Tuvok, get him. You will want Tuvok for your Voyager. If you do not have B'Elanna, get her. If you don't have Tom Paris, get him. Harry Kim is probably the 4th most important, but if you have an Enterprise, can be super valuable as well. Now, who do you actually focus on leveling up? The two most important individually are probably going to be B'Elanna Torres and Tom Paris, depending on your playstyle. Tom Paris will be giving you a universal boost to your mitigation. I like that one personally. We'll see if y'all end up agreeing the same. I like the idea of getting him leveled up. You put him on any ship, mitigation booster is nice. Now, B'Elanna Torres actually fits well into my personal paradigm of criticals are king, and that means that we're combining hull breach. Her below deck ability is a hull breach ability, so it'll scroll right there. Now, if you level her up, get that has a higher chance, you now no longer need to have Lorca or Gorkon on the bridge, thus opening up a slot for something else. And that can be extremely, extremely valuable to the point where, yes, even at only 2,000 per shard, recommend leveling her up. So for example, I need 39. So let's just say roughly 80,000 to take her to the next tier. And then I would, maybe continue doing the same thing. I could probably easily get 3 tiers out of one of these rares if I just focused in on that alone. So the biggest value in the event store are going to be the rare officers, though unlocking the epics if you're close is a really good idea. I personally, for example, strongly recommend people unlock the Doctor for their long-term gameplay, game-changing. But rare officers at the pinnacle of the importance list, then followed by that Cardassian Disruptor just to give every ship in your fleet a critical damage boost. It's like having Odo, but as a disruptor. Yeah, worry about that in your head later. And then finally, last but not least, specialty ships for all those that don't have them. Go ahead and unlock them. There's some other valuable things. This is where I would direct everybody to. Now, still pushing the idea, wait until the very end, see how much you end up with, and see what Scopely adds, if they add anything. If you have any questions, or maybe you disagree with certain things, drop them down in the comment section down below. It looks like this. I will gladly help you out and give my opinion on whatever it is that we're discussing. But those are probably my top 3 areas. I really want to focus on the rares, unlock the epics. If you're close, Cardassian Disruptor is great for everybody and specialty ships, and sprinkle in a little bit of that extra everything else if you like it. It's called Lanyap down here in Louisiana. Au revoir. Catch you on the next one. Bye.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.